The oceans feel so huge, so permanent. But the incredibly complex system that quietly powers our entire world, well, it's under a whole lot of pressure. So today, we're going to dive into the hidden risks that are threatening this invisible engine of our global economy.
So let me ask you this. It sounds a bit like a riddle, right? What on earth do Russian cyber attacks, modern-day pirates, and ancient history all have in common? It seems totally random, but there's a thread that ties them all together.
And there it is. Each one of these things, in its own way, is a warning light flashing on the dashboard of the global maritime system. They show us just how fragile that system really is.
Okay, so first, let's talk about the new dangers, the ones that are almost impossible to see. We're talking about a kind of 21st century fog of war, where the biggest threats are completely invisible.
This is pretty alarming. All across the North and Baltic seas, alarms are going off about massive GPS jamming and spoofing, and the finger is pointing at Russia. I mean, just imagine you're piloting a huge container ship and your navigation system suddenly starts feeding you lies.
For centuries, right? The dangers at sea were physical things. Storms, a broken engine, human error. And yeah, those things are still risks, for sure. But today's captains are also facing this whole new arsenal of digital threats that could stop a ship dead in the water without ever firing a shot.
And here's why that matters so much. Satellite navigation isn't just a nice-to-have, it is the absolute backbone of modern shipping. When it gets messed with, the chance of ships colliding or running aground just skyrockets. And this isn't just about your Amazon package being late, this is a real threat to the crew, to fragile ecosystems, and to the entire flow of global trade.
The high-tech games don't stop there. Over in the Mediterranean, we've got another modern threat playing out. French authorities actually seized the captain of an oil tanker, get this, it was named the Grinch, because they suspected it was part of a secret operation to move sanctioned Russian oil.
So what exactly is a shadow fleet? Well, think of it as a ghost navy. It's a bunch of tankers that operate in the legal gray areas, often with their tracking systems turned off, using all sorts of tricks to move oil for sanctioned countries. This creates a ton of instability in energy markets, and it's a direct challenge to international law.
Okay, so we've talked about the invisible digital threats. Now let's pivot to a danger that's as old as sailing itself, but one that has incredibly high stakes in our modern world.
We are talking about piracy. And nope, this is not the stuff of movies. This is a real, violent, and growing problem. And what's wild is that these attacks are becoming laser-focused on one particular area.
How focused? Get this, more than half of all piracy incidents in 2025 happened in one single place, the Singapore Straits. I mean, that's a staggering statistic.
And why is that one spot so important? Because the Singapore Straits is one of the most vital shipping arteries on the entire planet. Every single attack there sends ripples across the globe. It drives up insurance costs, jacks up shipping prices, and it puts the lives of the crew in constant danger.
So we've seen digital threats and we've seen physical threats. Now let's kind of widen the lens a little and explore how the deep past and our immediate present are colliding in ways you would never, ever expect.
So check this out. In the Baltic Sea, archaeologists just made an incredible discovery. They found the remains of a huge cargo ship from the 15th century, and its timbers were fantastically preserved. It's like a time capsule, a window right into the history of trade.
But this is way more than just a cool piece of history. Finds like this help us map the very DNA of our modern supply chains. The shipping lanes that connect our world today didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They evolved over centuries, and this ship is a piece of that puzzle.
Now here is another totally unexpected collision of past actions and present problems. So, the International Maritime Organization made rules to cut down on harmful sulfur emissions from ships, which is a great goal, right? The industry complied, pollution dropped, but here's the twist. Those pollutant particles were actually reflecting a tiny bit of sunlight back into space, creating a slight cooling effect. When we got rid of them, we may have accidentally made things worse for coral reefs.
It's just a powerful reminder that the ocean is this incredibly complex, interconnected system. Even when we try to do the right thing, our best-laid plans can have these surprising knock-on effects. We just can't look at any of these issues in a vacuum.
So, let's tie this all together. We've looked at cyber attacks, shadow fleets, pirates, ancient shipwrecks, and environmental surprises. What does it all actually mean when you put it together?
When you pull back and look at the whole picture, you start to see three big categories of risk.
You've got security risks, like the GPS jamming and piracy, which directly endanger people and disrupt trade. Then there are the economic risks, from things like sanctions evasion, which cause instability. And finally, the environmental side effects, which show just how deeply everything we do at sea is tied to the health of our planet.
You see, these aren't separate stories. They are all symptoms of the immense pressure that we're putting on one single, fragile, and deeply interconnected global system. The system that quietly keeps our entire way of life afloat.
And that really leaves us with a critical question. Knowing how fragile this whole thing is, where do we focus our energy first? Do we tackle the immediate threat of piracy that puts lives at risk today? Or do we focus on the slow burn, long-term impact of our environmental choices that could literally reshape our world forever? It's a tough one, and there's no easy answer.